And hello, hello, hello. I'm Chris Angel. I am one of the administrators at the Dan Heisman Learning Center, and I am also editor of our newsletter. And one of the features in our newsletter, which is published monthly, is something called the Game of the Month. We would like players to submit their games for submission, or excuse me, for publication in our newsletter. And we really do think that it would be very helpful to other players to see some of the games that we play. So if you have a game that you think would be instructive to other players, we do invite you to submit it. It doesn't matter whether you are a beginner or an advanced player. There will be somebody that could benefit from it. So we do invite you to submit. We have had some concerns about players who might not necessarily know how to, to annotate a game using using the tools that we have here available to us. So the purpose of this video is to demonstrate that. And so the first thing we need to do is pick a game. And so I figured, what better game than the one that I played against Dan Heisman, which we will be able to see. So I went to my game archive, and I'll click on that game. This should not be a surprise. Dan Heisman won by resignation. Ha 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 ha. If you look at my last position here, you'll see kind of why I went ahead and resigned. However, I have an extremely low rating, so it should not be a surprise to anyone that I lost, whether it be against an NM or somebody who is a beginner as well as I am. But in any event, it's a good one to annotate because annotating does really help in figuring out what could I have done differently. And so let's use this little demonstration here. The first thing we're going to need to do is to get the PGN. Now, a PGN is simply a little record, a little text file that shows all of these moves. So you do not have to enter them yourself. And so we're going to click PGN. Now, before I click that, if you look over to the left of my screen, over where the shoe is, actually around this area, you're going to see a little arrow pop up. And so there it is. That's just showing that I now have the file downloaded. And since it is a text file, you simply open it with Notepad. Since I annotate quite a few, it already knows that I want to open with Notepad, so all I have to do is click on it. And then you click inside of here and you Control A so that you can select everything. And then you can either Control C to copy, or you can right-click and copy, whatever you'd like to do. There's many ways to do this. And then you can just kind of shrink it down. Now, in order to start the actual annotation process, we're going to go back to our home screen. We will scroll down to the bottom, add new content. We hit that little drop-down menu and we see Post a Blog. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You can put the title in, My Game with National Master Dan Heisman. And you can have an introductory paragraph. For instance, in this case, I would mention a couple of things. Number one, I'm a beginner. Number two, this was a charity event for Mr. Heisman's charities. So we do invite you to check that out. But after you watch the rest of this first, of course. But you can put some sort of an introductory paragraph, whatever you'd like. Now, you can see up here, we have a variety of tools available that we can use. And what I'm going to do is this leftmost tool, which allows us to insert a position or a game. And so I will click on that. What would you like to create and insert? We're going to create a game or a sequence of moves. And over here we hit the continue button. We are using a PGN file, so we just click inside of that box, we paste it, and we tell it to continue. Now, as you can see, here is your game. As I said, all it is a text file showing out the moves that you made. And you can have a variety of tools available to you, which I will demonstrate in a moment. But first, let's take a look at this. We have tabs up here. And the first one is Game Editor. The second is Game Details, which shows all of these. We can put down the charity event. Boy, I misspell things when I type too fast. We have a Design tab, where in my case, I often pop over here right away and show the coordinates because I am a beginner. And we have a Preview tab. But for now, what we'll do is we'll go back to the Game Editor, and you can actually click through the game. You can click here. I started with this, and you can put notes in at any time. I'm very much a beginner, so I attempted the King's Indian attack. Worth noting, Mr. Heisman advised me work on my E4 openings. Some pretty good advice that I got because I've gotten better at those. So you can put in those notes at any time. You can also put in variations. And to put in a variation, let's say that I did something a little on the dumb side, which I did later on, but let's say I did something else here. Let's say that I wasn't paying attention and I pulled this out all the way and did that. We can even annotate that as a blunder with these tools right over here. And then you can continue. You can have him doing this and doing this and doing this, and then here my queen is out, and then I lose my queen. So that would be a dumb thing to do. But you can actually go as far as you'd like with your variation. And you can see that I would be in very bad shape if I did that. But in order to go back to the game proper, you simply move back to the last move before your parentheses, or the last real move that was actually made in the game. And so that is what you do. And you can continue. And often when I do my annotations, because I find that humor helps me learn, and I have a teaching background, and I found that incorporating humor into my lectures helped keep my class awake and helped them learn. I will often incorporate humor into my annotations. Anyone who reads my blog will probably see that a little bit, and they might be little feeble attempts at humor, but I do try to use a little bit of humor in any event. And I will try to find some way to do that, because I really do feel that it helps me. But one of the best things about the annotations is I can try different combinations or see things that I didn't see during the game and say, oh, wait a minute, I could have tried this, or look, I could have done this, or oh, wow, you know, maybe I would see something that is on priests, or I could have done this here, and you can try them out. They will become variations. You can see maybe what would have worked, maybe what would not have worked. And so it's a terrific exercise in order to learn. And so, you know, you continue through the game. Let's say I got to the end here, and when this happened, I remember when this happened, I looked at that and said, oh my gosh. And here I would write, well, I guess this is a royal fork. Chris Angel, that was dumb. And at this point, I asked if I would be considered a poor sport if I resigned. And what wound up happening is, not only did Mr. Heisman tell me I was not being a poor sport, he actually took a good 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, and went over this game with me and really helped me figure out some of the things that I could have done differently. So that's another thing that we like to encourage, is that the stronger players do help the more novice players and beginning players, or a player that just happens to be a little weaker than them. So it really is such a helpful exercise. It's a terrific thing to do. Okay, so we finished here, incorporated my humor. And so what we'll do is we'll hit the next step. And we can fill any of this in. I've already filled this in. And we hit the next step again. You know, I show the coordinates. I usually also, just for my own self, I turn the board pink. You can really design it whatever you'd like. It's quite individualized. You can make things, you know, however you would like, and it winds up being, you know, super helpful to be able to personalize things like the way you like them. So that works out well. And then the last thing is a preview. And at this point, just as a precaution, I often get the PGN and I just copy it, because sometimes these things take me a very, very long time to do, sometimes well over an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, even longer. And the chess.com site will prompt you to save your work. And I guess that's a precautionary type of a thing, but I've actually done that and wound up losing everything that I did. So I think it's a precaution. I just always come over here and I get my PG in again. But then I insert. And let's say that I thought to myself, oh, wait a minute, I forgot that I was going to show such and such. We can submit it, and then we can always go back and edit it. So we edit it, we hit the diagram here, and then we click the chessboard again. And the chessboard has everything that I have here already. So we can change things and, you know, do whatever it is we'd like. You know, let's say I did this. I mean, that would probably be a pretty dumb thing to do. But there it is. You know, it's showing anything else that you wanted to put in, and you can just, you know, insert it and submit my changes, and your updated game is in there. So that's the variation I just put in. So that is how I do my annotations. And as I said, we do invite players to submit their annotations for publication in the newsletter, especially if you think that they could be instructive to anyone else, but more so, you know, it's a good exercise to do for yourself. As I said, I find them to be very helpful. For all of us who wish to improve, it's not a bad thing to do. So the best thing is being able to help yourself and get stronger. But if you think you can help others, we'd love to see it. And so don't be shy. I am a beginner and I annotate quite a bit. Remember, you are among friends. I found that most of the people in the Learning Center have been so generous with their time and with their skills and with their knowledge in helping others. So I don't think anybody would laugh. It's a terrific exercise to do. So we do invite you to go ahead and submit your games. I'm going to write right here where you can submit your games. And let me write it in a nice big font so you can see it. Please do submit your games. Your PGN files would be fine, anything that you want to do. Or if you'd like, you can always just send a link to your blog. But send them to dhlcnewsletter@gmail.com. And we'll look forward to your submissions, and perhaps you can be a contributor to the newsletter. We'd love to see you there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.